This is a series of reflections, particularly addressed to fellow Nigerians. After staying and making life in Nigeria for 25 years, we were taken out as a family and replanted in England. So that experience is used here as a basis for what I'm going to say. First of all, remember that the UK is not Nigeria. I know that in the US, there are so many Nigerians that in some cases, the town they live has been completely transformed and they replanted with creating all kinds of things that look absolutely Nigerians, like mama puts and all the rest. This is not the case here in the UK, and I'm going to talk particularly about England because that's where we experienced the country. First of all, there is a kind of hierarchy. The UK being considered as the best place. France is only second. When people were talking to me initially, they mentioned France as what they call overseas. You know, in France, if you say overseas, it means Africa, Asia, Australia. Here, France being the nearest country to the UK is overseas. And the reason is that the UK is an island. And this has really shaped the way people think and live. So remember that. After France and Europe, then you have Asia. And Africa, that's my viewpoint, is considered the worst, the fairer, the more difficult to understand. Except when they need you, then they find ways of bringing you. And it's the case in particularly in the NHS, that's the health system, because they always need more nurses, more doctors, and so they invite you, and there are many Nigerians in the NHS there, in the hospitals, where you can experience them. They are usually very, very nice, of course, like my fellow Nigerians. But you know that the way you will be cared for in the hospital as a worker is different from the way you will be received in Nigeria. I know you may be attracted by physical, material stuff like abundant water, electricity, relative safety, although that is debatable. But don't be fooled by material aspects of life, because that is not what is most important, as you will see. Now, there are some remarks that will be made that will let you know that there is a problem with your experience, with your CV. When I came newly, one of my former master's degree students from UNN Nsukka offered to help me integrate, because initially I was alone for some 2-3 months. And the first thing she told me was to forget about my CV. I was a professor at Nsukka. She said, that will help you absolutely nowhere. You have to remake your CV, remove all your degrees and certificates, all your experience. Just say that you are available for work so that you can be employed. and that meant being employed as a cleaner on 0-hour contract, being employed as a nanny to take care of rich people's children, being employed as a manual worker of any kind. I was really finding it difficult. That idea repelled me, but okay. I just did it for a start and got employed immediately as a worker to carry shelves, to fill shelves in a warehouse. I also got employed another different hours as a cleaner in a school, cleaning before people come in the morning, early morning, from 6 to 8, or evening, cleaning toilets, hoovering. Yeah. Taking care of the bins. And I remember when I tried to get back into the university sector, I went for an interview. They interviewed me, and then after the interview, they told my reference that knew me very well because he had been helping with being head of department for 1 year in Nigeria, an Englishman. They told him, we can't employ her to teach French because she's called Ugochukwu. That will not give a good idea. So I knew a Chinese that was teaching Chinese in the UK, but she was married to a British man. But to teach Chinese, she didn't use her British surname. She put her Chinese maiden name because that sounded authentic. And then when I went for another interview, I was told, we are not interested in anything you have done so far. At that time, I was about 50 years old. We are not interested in that. All we want is to know what you are going to do if we employ you. I was so taken back that I couldn't reply. And of course, I was not employed. So your CV, many thousands of Nigerians have been altering their CVs. One of our children did it too, removing everything that is looking like studies so that they can employ you and at least you can get some money to feed your family. Your experience in most cases will be deemed useless because it doesn't apply to the country. I was told once, I heard you were a professor, and I said yes, and they said, well, I guess there is professor and professor. I spent hours, months, years after that meditating on the meaning of that expression. It doesn't mean you will not find job, doesn't mean that you will not be welcome somewhere, but this country is no Nigeria. So it's better you know that your CV cannot be brandished. Here I come, unless you have been called, invited. So think about it.